Alrighty, joining us now is a former college and XFL offensive linesman with a resume as long as my arm, and now head coach at the LT2 Football Academy Global, Mr. Logan Tuley-Tillman. How are you, mate?
I'm blessed, living the dream. I appreciate you guys having me on.
No, we appreciate you giving up your afternoon to come and talk to us. We, I'm not sure if you've heard any of our podcasts, but something that I really enjoy starting with, just to really get to know the kind of person that we are talking to. Just three people that you would invite to a dinner party to start with, mate.
Wow. Okay, that's a good one. Well, from history or just overall?
From whoever you want, mate. Anyone, anywhere.
Well, first, I'll definitely, it, specific to my niche, Howard Mudd. He was a legendary O-line coach. Let's see, Bill Meyer, one of my old coaches. And the last one, I would say Iron Mike Sinclair, who's also. Would invite those dudes just off the top of the head.
Yeah, good. They're not bad off the top of the head, I reckon. Nice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say something? Did I fade out?
A little bit, a little bit. I just said they're not too bad off the top of your head. You're was that Mike Tyson the last one?
Oh no, sir. Mike Singletary.
Ah, sorry. Yes. No, that is probably a little bit more apt than Mike Tyson, I imagine.
Yeah, I got lucky to play from in Memphis AAF my second year of pro football. So first time mine.
Yeah, beautiful. Uh, so we'll go to where it all began. Where were you born and raised, mate?
I was born in a small town in the Midwest called Peoria, Illinois. If you've heard of Sean Livingston or Richard Pryor, pretty small town, about kind of the size of Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm a big Green Bay fan, so I know exactly what you mean when you say Green Bay, Wisconsin. Is it the same as Green Bay? Is it's like a country town, but surrounded by Green Bay's got pretty big city surrounding it.
Yeah, well, I kind of compare it to Clinton, Detroit is in the state of Michigan, so it's kind of a smaller, not a copycat city, but just a smaller subsidiary. I would say of that. It's about 2.5 hours away, but stereotypical Midwest town.
Yeah, beautiful. So growing up, football always the sport, or did you grow up playing other ones as well?
Well, I actually grew up, majoring in basketball. Didn't tell me I wasn't going to be an NBA power forward, as a young fella. But I ended up being better at football. But yeah, started out as a basketball player.
How far did you go with the basketball?
Well, just only to high school. I went to a pretty, historic high school in my hometown, Peoria, Manual, and I played for a few years. And then guys like Nick Saban, college, start hitting me for recruiting. So just focused all in on football.
And then for your football, you had a pretty big college career. So Michigan, Akron, Texas, El Paso. How was college life?
It was good. I think I tell all young guys now is that, the biggest thing is experience, all over the country, there's young fellas coming from different situations going to college. And, I always let them know that, the degree is the most important thing. So I say all that to say I had an awesome time. I was really blessed to get after college as well. But I look back at college now, it's the baseline of, what my program is now. All the best stuff that I wanted and stuff that I didn't, taking that out of, what I my lineman day.
And what did you study?
So I did general studies, and my research focus was public health, and particularly homicide and gun violence as a connection to Black masculinity. And it, evolved just masculinity and whole, looking at some of the causation, poverty, things like that. And I don't want to get around. When I got cut by the 49ers, went back home, and I two different classes, but that's a big portion point. So
Which is huge, absolutely huge. And so then post college, you played a few seasons in the XFL. Who did you play for, and how was that experience?
yeah, so the first I went to after I cut by the Niners, I was in the AAF in Memphis with Mike Singletary. So it was awesome. Had a great time. Johnny Mandel was out there for his first time back in pro football in a while, so a lot of excitement. It was great. And then my last, experience with the XFL with Coach Pep Hamilton defenders. Had a great time. Coach Pep, obviously one of the best minds in football. So
Sounds like an incredible experience. So LT2 Football Academy is where you're an offensive lineman coach. How did the academy begin?
yeah, well, so it started really back in about 2015 with a young fella in the area where I was at, wanted to be trained coach. So from then, I kept working like that. I initially thought I was going to be coach, but God had a different plan for me. I was 2021 I get a call to coach pro football spring league. So did that, had a great time. And that's really the genesis of it, I would say. And then about 55 NFL guys later, just been running my mouth. Anybody that wants to listen.
Yeah, beautiful. So with all of that, how can people actually get involved?
Yeah, so anyone, they can go and visit www.lt2global.com. And on there, if you're an athlete, I have, OL instructional videos for you. If you're a coach, I actually have a coach's training program where we go from the ground up and we share experiences and talk technique.
Yeah, and how big is the academy gotten?
Well, it's really been a blessing, so we've expanded to London. There's, global hubs all over, with coaches doing it. But I'd probably say about 1,500 offensive line athletes total we service about a year.
1,500 per year.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And two, if there's any entrepreneurs watching out here, I tell them all the time, niche down. And my business really took a 10x when I niched down. So there's over about 500,000 online athletes across the globe. So there in Australia, Big Ethan Morton, he's a 6'10" offensive tackle that I've had a chance to work with. And it just goes to show, guys want to get better. And now with the internet, we have that ability to do that daily.
And you find coaching over the internet it's still like a fluid process. And do they send you tape and then do you assess the tape? Is that how it all kind of works?
Yeah, well, so we kind of connect how we're doing now, and then I take them just through the whole, program, anti-rotational core, stance, start, run game, all that good stuff. And I don't want to nerd out, but everything from the ground up to get them prepared to get back to their team, in a positive manner is what we hit work on.
Yeah, but absolutely all means nerd out over this because I feel like a lot of people listening will want to know like all the ins and outs. So don't be afraid to hold back.
Well,
So it's, when you go.
well, so if anybody is a so Big Ed Ingram, who's a starting guard for him, he's been with me this whole summer. So on their online, we'll break down some of the stuff that these guys do, so prepared and go back to be at the highest level.
And so how many players that have gone through the academy have gone to the highest level?
Well, so like I was saying, there's probably about 50 active NFL players that we work with so far, and then we're recruiting the next generation now. So this past class, I had 7 guys come through the program for the college to NFL part of it, NFL draft, and then it's probably gonna be about 10 next season as well.
Yeah, which is crazy. So the numbers just keep on ticking up.
Yes, sir.
And what's like the youngest age that you start and training some of these athletes at?
Well, so Texas is very different. So the youngest athlete I've had come through is about 6 years old, 6 to 8.
6?
Yeah. So what's so crazy too is that I see online people always have their opinions of it, but base program, obviously teach an NFL starter, but we're still going to learn some baseline things like the stance, start, the why, how, and what. And at the end of the day, the fundamentals of the game and the block.
Yeah, and is there like a cutoff age, or you're like, so let's say you're already looking to go into college, and you may be playing in a lower division. Is there a point where you're like, it's probably getting a bit too late, or is there always time?
Well, that's what's really cool about the program. On any given Sunday, just like your guys' podcast, there could be an NFL starter or there could be an 8-year-old on that day, and even when it comes to coaches as well. So one of my young coaches program now, who's starting his own business, Coach Ty McKinney, XFL championship, one of the players. So I love to create people as if they're their own CEOs. So you never know who you'll see during the day at any given.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's huge. Um, so what are like you've said that there's 50 active players now in the NFL. What are some of the bigger names that people will be able to recognize?
So big Ed Ingram, and Austin Deckles, Aaron Stinnie from the Buccaneers, who should be starting from again this year. There's a ton of them, and I think it's a little pretentious to go through all of their names, but there's a bunch of them.
Yeah,
Some bets I think will be back on some squads.
yeah,
Where they end up.
which is great. And do they still keep in contact with you? Like, are you still helping them with their coaching and training?
Yeah, and so more likely most of the time with my NFL guys, I'll just follow up with them. How's everything going? Where's your baseline? How's your routine been? And then with the younger, fellas, that's where you get more of the hands-on, in tune, day by day follow-ups and things like that. So, for example, if there's any young fellow, from Australia, and say, "Hey, I want to be offensive lineman. I'm a big fella." You can go to my website now. Stance. So, I really try to, anyone that cares to listen where they're at and try to teach.
Yeah, which is absolutely incredible. So you've mentioned a couple like Ethan. Is there any other young fellas who we probably should be keeping our eye on, like looking towards head towards the next level?
Well, there's a few of them, and you guys, when a shameless plug my Twitter, if anybody wants to follow me at Logan Tillman, there's guys shooting film almost every day. But Big Ethan's been the one guy, the one member that I have from out there that I know has been consistent, and he's even been teaching some young fellas in the area, about pass sets and all that good stuff. Fine.
Which is great. Like, because obviously, Gridiron Australia is only getting bigger. There's more clubs. They're trying to do like a state competition and stuff. So we speak to Wade Kelly, who's the CEO of Gridiron Australia. So we're just trying to make it bigger, um, as big as possible. So then we can send more players over to the states and like get them in colleges and stuff like that. But yeah, so there's a lot of companies out there that it's helping. But yeah, I feel like maybe the Lions is something that probably needs working on for sure.
Yeah, and then so check this out and watch it. If you want to take that, opportunity, like, he's saying to get over to the U.S., the biggest thing that I would say to you is, get a routine. Okay. So, for example, guys like Big, he's a 6'9" offensive tackle. He's going to get an opportunity at some point, but it may not be immediate. Okay. So, if we have any, young athletes or offensive linemen or lineswomen watching this, understand that we got to just have a battle with them because the opportunity is going to come. But, the question is, are we prepared when that, random situation comes.
Yeah, so always being prepared is right up there as number one thing to do. So what does it take to make it as like a trenchman? Auburn.
Yeah, so there's a few things. I'm sure our listeners would agree. The biggest things, in my opinion, is that you want to be a buoyant athlete. The times of offensive linemen being big, lunky, 350-pound guys is over. In my opinion, it's one of the most complex and layered positions on the field, and as you see, it's one of the most underdeveloped positions NFL on down. So the biggest thing I'd say, you want to be a buoyant athlete. You want to have a mindset of, to finish. I had a tweet the other day, that made it pretty clear. Excuse me, I detailed out a few things, that I love to see in my offensive lineman, like, effort, strain to finish, being buoyant, or being able to get themselves out of a bad situation.
And what are some of those bad situations that they got to try and get themselves out of?
Well, so for example, when they don't own the angle of departure from the line of scrimmage. So in the NFL, I believe in 2021, 82% of the sacks were due to technique deficiencies. So, for example, when you look at a left tackle, a younger left tackle going against a Von Miller, his shoulders going to collapse in 0.3 seconds, right? So if you're not driving through that big toe to get yourself back in your angle and be in a wall, not a door, it's going to be a tough. So things like that really isolate those situations. The NFL is a pass happy league. Look at it, as you're a rusher, you get home 2 times out of 78 plays. If it's a bunch of snaps during the game, that's all pro year, you know. So it's one of those things you don't want to have a short memory when it comes to things that you can get better on, but a short memory when it comes to the bad things that happen.
Yeah, for sure. Because I know whenever I played any sport, if I get in my head, I've defeated myself right from the beginning.
Yeah, and then the O line is such a layered position. It's just such an uncommon movement pattern as well, and that's why the premise of O line specific training has really exploded in my opinion. Because look at guys like Ed Ingram, that it's an NFL starter, on just some of my young fellas that may be 8 years old that have a dream to become who he is. We have a product for you that you can do something day. So that's why I think it's really cool, the sector that I've had a chance to get into and get rolling in.
Which is absolutely incredible. Like to give kids, because they're absolutely children at 8 years old, to give them an opportunity and a dream and a path to follow at such a young age, surely is only going to just provide better offensive linemen in the future.
Yeah, and then too, one of the biggest things that I always preach to all my young guys too is envision yourself outside of yourself. If I was to look back and say, yeah, be coaching pro football, as a young fella in Peoria, Illinois, I would think you'd be lying. But I just think that there's so many things outside of actually being an athlete that sport provides, that I wanted to bring, to the light, because you look at it, there's some people that are living in the sports world that have never lifted a weight, that are living, right? So not everyone's going to be, that 6'5", 300-pound athlete, but you have value if you choose to find a niche.
For sure. And are you like referring to as in like having that team aspect of sport as well?
Yeah, yeah, and one of the things too that I'm just so thankful that I did play a sport, coming up because it's just a mind. So I'm sure you guys, would be able to agree is that there's a lot of people that do a lot of different things, but how you do what you do is what separates you. So I think it's given me definitely an advantage of being.
100%, 100%. And that's helped you build this business that you've got going on now.
Yeah, and then a lot of luck too. I mean, I tell guys all the time that a coach is really only as good as his best players or his worst players. So the players are really the ones that provide the opportunity to be able to have a bit.
Yeah, and do you work with the team, or is it just all you all online?
Well, it's all standalone. And for example, in 2021, when the Bucks came going to the facility, that's when I was down in Tampa with Big Brad Seaton and Aaron Stinney for about 2 or 3 months. And then here in the offseason here in Dallas is where most of my NFL guys come to, and they spend time before they go back to OTAs. And for example, like there's some of my college guys that going to come from the class that I hop into as well here in Dallas.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, so you do hands-on, in-person, online. Is there anything you don't do?
Well, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, pretty much anything that the big fellas request, we try to get it for them.
And like you said, it's not just the old school. You got to be massive. You got to be huge. So can anyone of any size still be competitive?
Well, yeah, you definitely can be competitive. For example, like some of the national locations, like England, for example, there's a lot of stereotypical size. But in that situation, we'll have them long snap, we'll have them short snap. But at the end of the day, if we can get you in a better biometric position, use force, stronger and more buoyant and better athlete at the point of attack. So I tell guys all the time is think of your first fight to the last one, right? But now think if you had 15-minute routine daily to work through before that last fight that you know is going to happen. So pretty much try to isolate them and have them find their process, understand the how, why, what are the techniques and the schemes. So long story short is that you have what you have, and you try to make the most of it. So if I'm a shorter offensive lineman, I'm definitely going to teach you how to snap. I'm definitely going to make you long and short snaps so you have a little more value.
Yeah, for sure. And do you see there's any value of like, because obviously we play a lot of rugby, Australian rules football and stuff like that. Can you see the process like for someone like Jordan Mailata who came across from a completely different sport where they said he was too big, too strong, so like you're almost useless on the rugby pitch, and then came across the NFL and is now having quite a dominant career? Is there a clear pathway for players to come across like that, and is that like something you could like help coach with?
Yeah, and so there's a lot of that I have worked with throughout come from different sports or the defensive side of the ball. And, and I tell guys all the time with the USFL and the XFL, there's so much opportunity, especially, for our bigger bodied athletes, like, saying like Jordan. So there's a bunch of Mary and carryover that they can, get a spot in those situations.
Yeah, so at that point, if you're an athlete and you
Yeah.
go through the right coaching and get your technique down.
Yeah, yeah, and Philadelphia has a really great offensive line coach, Jeff Stoutland, who does a great job of detailing things out, and that helps. So, if anybody's watching this, and they are one of those bigger athletes, hit the link, find out what a set tree is, find out what a routine at battle rhythm is, and then you're going to have opportunity. And the biggest thing that I found is just, guys being their own best advocate, especially our international guys. Yeah, you have to just keep networking. You have to keep putting yourself out there so people know what you have going on.
And with all that networking side of things, is that something you also help with as well, or are you just the coaching only?
Yeah, we help with that, and then it's really predicated. I tell guys all the time, Shark Tank mentality. So say that we had a product we want to get to market. There's a big show in the States called Shark Tank, right? I just tell them how many calls it take me to get my product on there. Probably about 10,000, right? So we take that outlook of it and we try to break it down throughout a year. So, for example, if you're an international, youth athlete, and where you guys are at, you should be hitting up a college coach or whoever follows you from the States minimum 3 times a week. And then
Yeah,
an elevator pitch. Hey, here's my tape. This is what I do. Love to talk with you.
yeah. So you reckon just if there's someone out there who's interested in you at all, continue to talk to them, try and build a relationship, and then go from there.
Yep, exactly. And then it's so competitive now. College football, it really is not college anymore. It's, it's pre-professional, I'd say. So there's so much action with the portal. There's a huge need and niche for guys. It's just, you letting them know what you have available.
Yeah, because there's players moving, switching between colleges with the portal, and then just the competitiveness to even get in at the ground level to one of those bigger schools is always going to be tough.
Yeah, you know it.
And so through all the coaching, do you have any like little more, apart from obviously reaching out to the coaches and being committed to your game, is there any other tips you can shout out to some young aspiring athletes?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I would share with them, take a chance to be a champion. It was very unlikely for me to come from, one of the worst areas for, minorities in pure Illinois to be a professional football coach, to be someone that has a degree, to be someone that's able to teach and have an audience. I think it's really uncommon. And I would say to you is, keep envisioning yourself outside of yourself because, if it is to be, it's up to me, is what I remind myself of. And I think it's very true to anyone in any aspect or whatever that you're in, if you truly, want to become the voice in your industry, saying outside of athletes, you should be posting about that 3 times a day. And if you really want to be, 10x your brand, you should really post probably 6 to 7 times a day. So that would be my biggest advice, for, athletes and then any business owners out there in any of their specific industries.
Beautiful. I've got one more question, but I just wanted to give you a massive thank you, Logan, for coming on. Super inspiring. Depth of knowledge is absolutely clear. Thank you for spending some time with us.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
No worries. So, what's the next step for the academy? What's your plan? Let's say the next 5 years?
Yeah. So next 5 years is O-line world domination. We want to get to the point where, with the click of a button, if anybody wants to learn any offensive line specific things, they can go to my site and they can get, serviced. And I think overall, I want to keep doubling down. I'm very excited, to be having a baby. So going to be Dad Logan. Have a little bit less time, but I'm really, so focused on just getting, for example, Ed Ingram from the Minnesota Vikings to Tyron Hunt, who's in the NFL draft this year, to Big JJ or Cito, who's an 8-year-old athlete. Enthusiasm unknown to mankind, and get the most out of what we have. So I think really just trying to keep building the proof of concept and just serving the best way we can is the whole goal for it.
Hey, absolutely beautiful once again. So just want to run through us your Twitter, shout yourself out, your website, your Instagram, just where everyone can follow you.
Yes, sir. So if you're still listening to us, thank you guys for your attention and tapping in with us. www.lt2fbaglobal.com. We have online coaching clinics, online instructional videos, and merch. So if you like any merch, make sure you get on there and check it out. My Twitter's at Logan Tillman. My Instagram is LoganTT72. I post about 4 to 5 pieces of online specific training material daily. Right. So if you're like me, you love offensive line play, tap and hit me up, and also follow these guys here.
Yeah, beautiful. We're at any given Sunday, Australia, on everything. So you'll be able to find us. Thank you so much for your time, Logan. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys. Look forward to hearing from you soon.
You absolutely will. Catch you, mate.
Bye-bye.